Well, given that it's a Japanese one with a demonic robotic bear and various anime characters, it doesn't make much sense, so it wouldn't matter.
It's good to know that as a grown adult man, you're playing games like that.
Yeah, well, how did you enjoy the Lego movie, Steve? I bet you didn't look weird as the only old man in there.
Did you wear your big long Mac as well? Tied with string.
Right, ready?
Yeah.
Well, hello and welcome to the AVForums podcast. Joining me for this edition are assistant editor Steve Withers.
Every Halloween, the trees are filled with underwear. Every spring, the toilets explode.
News editor Mark Hodgkinson.
You guys playing cards?
Games editor Mark Botwright.
Hello.
And audio reviewer Ed Selley.
Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no.
Well, to kick off this week, I think we need to go back to the Great Biscuit debate of last week. It seems to have created quite a bit of debate on the forums. I noticed that everybody was getting involved there. Let's have a look at what has been said about the biscuits of choice, and also I think it's only right that in honour of the Oscars last night that we have the Great British Biscuit Oscars. So, nominees and what was raised that you found entertaining. Let's go ahead first.
Well, as you know, I was viewing this as an outsider, but clearly, for those of you that drink tea and eat biscuits, and then combine the two, I didn't realise that it was such a minefield of biscuit structural integrity. And you know, whether you want a chocolatey rim, which still sounds unsuitable, however you phrase it.
You brought it up.
Chocolatey rim with a cream filling presumably would be really, really bad.
Oh dear, Stephen. Oh dear. As I say, I drink coffee and I don't eat biscuits. So you know, I was watching this. I read the thread with sort of a growing sense of amazement that you have time to do anything else. I mean, frankly, it sounds like a full-scale research program.
Well, Ed, I was going to say, I mean, you've got an engineering background here. I mean, it seems to be quite an engineering challenge.
Now, you say that, I would like to nominate the team that won a useless science award for showing locusts Star Wars to judge their responses. That strikes me as the group of time wasters we need on biscuit technology. I don't feel I have the expertise required to make this one work as well as it should, frankly. I mean, I will say that it's not to say that there's no real role for biscuits in my life. Cheese and biscuits, so not these, you know, nasty sweet businesses. I mean, for me, it's always been an epic battle between the Cars water biscuit and the Jacobs cream cracker.
Oh, water biscuit every time.
Now, you see, for me, I'd fall on the side of the cream cracker. I just feel it goes with more cheeses, and also it's bigger, allowing you to get more cheese onto it.
Yes, but it's also too thick, I think.
Really? I don't know.
There's too much cracker,
It's
and
like
it
chewing on
dominates the
cardboard,
cheese.
isn't it?
Yeah, well, have you ever tried eating two of them?
Well,
just literally one after the other. It's physically impossible. It's physically impossible.
You are supposed to eat them with cheese.
No,
Let me
but
point that out.
My dad once bet me. He said, "I bet you 10 quid you can't eat two Jacobs crackers one after the other." And I said, "Of course I can. Don't be ridiculous." I literally, physically couldn't. And my saliva just disappeared. Mouth goes completely dry, and you can't swallow the bloody thing. You can't eat two of the sods. You can't.
I could do two.
I challenge anyone out there, by the way, who's listening to this, to try it.
I can do two. I suppose I might have to fire a webcam up to be full horror.
Not sure anyone wants to see
Not without any cheese, though, Ed.
No, I can do two. I know I cannot do three, but I can do two. Without liquid.
No liquids at all. Just got to eat the two sodding.
I can do two. I'm putting a line in the sand here.
I think we've got an epic video production coming here.
The selfie to end all selfies.
Yeah. Are you gonna film it in 4K?
4K.
This is
surround sound.
This is like a really middle class version of neck nomination, isn't it?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Biscuit.
Well, it's Ed that's speaking. What do you expect? I mean, you wanted lobster for the snack last week. Right. Mr. Botwright, I noticed you took a great deal of interest, especially from an engineering angle, with the Great Biscuit debate. What were your points?
Rich tea is an antiquated biscuit. It's designed for cups and saucers. Although, actually, thinking about it, I now...
You drink tea?
No, but I'm saying it comes from that era, but not as bad, say, as the malted milk or the Nice, in fact.
Where
But
do you
that-
fall then on Tunnocks cakes, Tunnocks tea cakes, and things like
That's
that?
not a biscuit.
That's not a biscuit. That has
That's a
nothing.
confection.
What about a Tunnocks? What are they called? The wafer things?
Well, the pink ones.
No, not the pink one.
Oh, the ones that are wrapped in like a tartan wrapper.
Yeah, caramel
called.
wafers. Caramel wafers.
It's semi-confection, isn't it? It's
that's not a biscuit.
It's straddling the line.
Biscuit then.
No, it's a cake. It's in the name.
Whoa, no. Wait a minute. I know that it's called a Jaffa cake, but what's the definition of a biscuit?
They've proved it. It's
Who's
how it
proved
goes
it?
stale.
Who's proved it?
They.
They.
The EU.
Haven't you heard of them?
Yeah.
They're the people ruining Britain. Haven't you heard?
Is that they.com and them.com, is it?
Yeah.
Ruining and running Britain. Them.
Yeah. It's a cake. It goes hard when it goes stale. Biscuits go soft when they go stale. You know, I can't believe this is news to you, Steve. You really have a lot of catching up in the world of biscuits.
Do you remember that the Tunnocks tea cake did actually make it into Viz's Biscuit Nativity, which we lost hours on?
That's why I started eating them, because of that particular evening. And they're really nice. I love them.
Oh, they're really sickly, aren't they now?
I'm not saying eat all of them in the box, but one every now and then is a nice little treat.
And they've shrunk.
No, you just got bigger, Mark. That's
no,
you
when I was a kid, cream eggs
were the size of a 12-inch record when I was a kid.
Well, I've lost what we're talking about now. What were we talking about there?
Tunnocks.
The Tunnocks
we
tea
were talking
cakes.
about
Jaffa cakes.
dunking rich tea.
Yeah.
Dunking rich tea.
So your points were, Mr. Botwright, before you were interrupted.
I prefer the supermarket own brand digestives. I prefer the sweetness. I also find it's easier to get even saturation of tea. But I would pick up Mark on one point that he made about the hobnob. He said there was too much knob, actually.
Too much knob and not enough hob.
Yeah, too much knob. Did you not say there was too much knob in the bottom of the cup?
Oh, the residue. You can get a residue in the bottom.
See,
if you're not careful.
You're supposed to sieve it. The final mouthful is like a whale taking plankton.
With a tea strainer.
Yeah, that's how you're supposed to do it.
Oh, then you just eat the residue with a teaspoon.
No, it's sieved through the teeth. You're like a filter feeder.
But you're going to use a sieve to finish off your cup of tea.
Do you not have a tea strainer?
Yes, I've got a tea strainer.
Awkward silence. I have to. I mean, admittedly, it's more my wife that does loose leaf tea than me. But every now and again,
loose leaf tea, awesome. It tastes so much better than.
Well, I was wondering when we were going to come to this, because in Hong Kong they use tights to do it, don't they?
Only when.
Well, my present never done
Steve
that.
doesn't take his off.
That kind of thing, you have to pay a lot of money.
No, I'm on about the hairy bikers. The hairy bikers did Hong Kong, and they went to this traditional place for their breakfast, which was a mix of English and Asian for breakfast. So it's like fried eggs, bacon, and noodles and all that kind of thing. And they strained the tea with pairs of tights.
I'm
I
sure
think
that
there's less risk of anything
They're all
getting
just
through.
doing that for the stupid British cameras. Then.
It sounds like a modified version of those rugby games where you drink piss through a sock.
Yeah. I'm not drinking tea out of someone's gusset. That's the end of it, right? No way.
I'm sure you've done worse, Steve.
Moving on swiftly.
We're not getting you out of this one.
Well,
But anyway, loose leaf tea though tastes amazing. It's so much better than tea bags.
Podcast of the people.
Oh, let's not start talking about teabagging. Right, next. Nobody mentioned custard creams.
I think the conversation was centralising around dunking, wasn't it? I don't think the custard cream are a great dunker. They kind of fall apart very quickly, and the custard bit melts.
Yeah, we got onto the digestive and the chocolate digestive, and there is a tip though. There was complaining about chocolatey finger. If you double them over, that makes that actually
chocolate finger dipping that.
No, if you double over a chocolate digestive, it will lessen any chance of a chocolate finger related slippage. So
It can still seep out of the middle. I've done that, and it does still seep out if you dunk too long.
Oh yeah.
You know.
So you're now eating 2 chocolate digestives simultaneously.
No, just one. You break it in half.
Oh, break it in half.
We're not
That'll
animals.
make it easier to get into the cup as well.
I mean, surely, I don't know, I grew up in a house of people with mild OCD. Surely the only joy to a custard cream is seeing if you can prise one side of the biscuit
Without breaking it.
without breaking it in any way, shape or form. I mean, I know it's much easier with bourbons. There's much less adhesive to that chocolatey stuff.
Well, if you stick them in the fridge, they come apart really easy.
That's cheating, Mark.
Get you, Hester Blumenthal. Let me guess, if you dip them in liquid nitrogen, it's really, really easy.
Well, probably.
The other one that hasn't been mentioned yet is Oreos.
That's because it's American.
Ghastly American.
No, they are nice.
No one eats those in this country.
I do.
Yes, they do.
Oreos?
Yeah, they're really, really popular.
Can you dunk them?
I will tell you
You
that.
can dunk them. But you got the risk of chocolate again.
You've always got a risk.
Risk of chocolate. That's Bond's 22, like that, whatever Bond we're on.
Okay, I think we need to move on swiftly by wrapping this up with our British Biscuit Oscars. Best Dunkin' Biscuit is...
Hobnob.
Chocolate Hobnob.
Chocolate Hobnob.
Are we agreed on that one?
It's got everything. It's substantial. It's sweet.
I'd just go for a plain Hobnob, but I'm happy with the chocolate Hobnob.
So the AVForums Biscuit Academy say the chocolate Hobnob. Are we agreed?
Fair.
Right, okay. Best biscuit for taste is...
I'm going to go with a sweet tooth. I'm going to say the party ring.
No.
The party ring is good for taste, and it also makes one of the more precarious dunks, I should say.
Living on the edge.
Well, because
What colour do you like, flavour-wise?
It depends. Depends on my mood.
Pink, orange, yellow?
Yellow, I do tend to prefer. Yeah, I'll go with yellow.
Okay. I was going to say Jaffa cake, but then after what Marcus
well,
just told,
if you just
I'm
hang
now
on,
confused.
You just hang on. That's the next category. So the next category is cake stroke biscuit stroke. We're not sure what it is, and that would go to
Jaffa cake. Titanic's tea cake.
I'm more inclined to go with the Jaffa cake.
Jaffa cake for me.
I don't like Jaffa cakes. In fact, I say I don't like them. I've never tried them, so I'm going to say that I don't like them.
How can you have got to your age and never tried a Jaffa cake? That's impossible.
I don't like the look of them.
Looking at me in a way.
In what way? Is it a hump in the middle?
With some chocolate on the top and a smashing orange in the middle.
No, I'll tell you. Well, if you shut up, I'll tell you why. Okay? They come in a packet. It looks like a biscuity packet to start with, and they're calling it a cake, and it looks soft, and I don't like that. There's something wrong there, and then people dunk them, and then they're soft when they get dunked. There's just, it's like it's a shrunken cake. There's just something very untrustworthy about it. I'm sorry, I've not tried it, and I don't intend to.
Sorry, just going to say from Savoury Corner, in terms of things that aren't biscuits but are great in a biscuity way, just going to say Ryvita. Things you can, I mean, obviously you don't want to eat one on its own, but things you can do with Ryvita, greatness. It's fabulous. Smoked salmon and cream cheese is obviously extremely good on a Ryvita, and brie and bacon. If you just heat the brie up a little bit, that's particularly messy and probably undermines the slightly, the health aspect of it, probably quadrupling the calorific intake. But it's very, very good.
God, we really are middle class.
What is middle class about brie? There's certainly nothing middle class about
pretty much everything, Ed. Camembert, brie, docciolata, it's all very middle class.
What, are you saying that if a cheese isn't bright yellow and hard enough to actually work metal with, it's intrinsically middle class?
Yes, basically I am, yes.
And to wrap up, the final overall award for the best biscuit / cake / confectionery goes to...
Wagon Wheel. What? So I put that one in left field. The wagon wheel.
Oh, is that the jammy one or the original?
No, it's the one that's like chocolate with two sides and a fondant centre.
The problem is, if you had a time machine and you went forward 20 years, it'd be the size of a 10p piece in 20 years.
I can remember the time when they used to be the size of a hubcap, and that wasn't
I remember that. Yeah.
They used to be huge. But I'm disappointed, Phil, that we've reached the end of this segment and we haven't had an excuse for you to say curly whirly. No, it's not a biscuit. But,
it's not a biscuit. It's a sweetie. Curly whirly.
It's just very satisfying when you say it. What can I say?
Curly whirly. Right, enough of this confectionery crap. Let's move on. Hardware news. Now, Ed, you were supposed to go to HiFi Show. I believe you turned up and then had to turn around and come back again. But it's a bit Blue Peter, this one, because you have to bring your own. This
is right, absolutely correct. And now in its 6th year, if you can believe that, is it's actually brilliantly managed to get the URL for the HiFi Show, kind of stamping its authority on all other Hi-Fi shows. But it's based in Scalford Hall, just outside Melton Mowbray. And yes, the key difference is that instead of it being a manufacturer-based exercise, people bring their own systems. And if that sounds a bit weird, well, I can assure you it is, but in a good way, I think it's fair to say. Scalford Hall has a couple of advantages for the role in question. Steve was being very unkind about it before we started recording. But
you were being unkind about it.
Well, I'm being unkind about it.
It was less flash than the Marriott in Bristol.
It's gigantic and laid out over about 37 different buildings and floors, which gives everyone lots of space to make their own noise. And rooms come in all sorts of different sizes. So you can have the intimate study-based system where sort of 3 people can watch it at a time. And there are whacking great rooms as well. I mean, comfortably bigger than, for example, the space that Name were doing their statement dem in Bristol. And also, actually, the value spread was quite surprising as well. I mean, this year, I think the cheapest system could have been yours for a whisker under £200, and the most expensive yours for a whisker over £175,000. And if you could think about someone bringing their own £175,000 system, that's quite a commitment.
Well insured.
Well, I don't know, but as I say, a big bewildering variety of equipment. And
Ed, what are the logistics of this? Then you turn up with a system in your boot, set it up in a room, and off you go.
Pretty much. I mean, you can turn up the day before. I mean, the first time it was done, we had to set up at sort of 7 o'clock in the morning prior to people turning up at 9:30, which was a bit hardcore. But no, now it's set up the day before. And yeah, I mean, obviously, car, if your system is small enough to do car, quite a lot of vans in attendance because some systems just, I mean, my system's borderline. It'll fit in the back of a people carrier, but it's happier in a van. And yeah, it's entirely bonkers. But there is one interesting thing about the difference in the systems between the major difference is that at hi-fi shows, commercial hi-fi shows, the equipment you see is a commercial convenience of equipment either built by one manufacturer, sold by one distributor, or sold by one dealer. There is, and that means it's always in production, and it's together as much for commercial reality as anything else. Systems that go to bring your own hi-fi show, they're there because the person feels that's the best they can possibly achieve with their given budget, and it does lead to some cracking sounding sort of demonstrations, and not often there were some expensive systems there, but equally there were systems, perfectly sensible money, that were capable of greatness, and it's fun and it doesn't hurt anybody.
I take it the choice of music is better than these commercial things where they just play jazz and piano concertos. Absolutely. And all the rest of it.
I've never heard Austrian Death Machine at any other hi-fi show. So, I think that's got to have it going for it as well. Yeah, there's some. I mean, as I was explaining, this year, unfortunately, my wife became very ill overnight, so I actually left as everyone was turning up on the Sunday morning. But I listened to a couple of systems the night before, and last year on a system that was worth getting on for £60,000, listening to Daft Punk live at the sort of volume that will boil the fluid in your inner ear. Yeah, you're not going to get that at a normal hi-fi show, and it's much the better that you can. It's really quite exciting. And hopefully, I'm hoping that one day someone's going to have the sheer nuts off insanity to bring an entire AV system.
So what is the? I mean, what do the exhibitors get out of this? I mean, obviously they're not selling anything if they're bringing their own stuff along. So
simple joy of turning up,
waving.
There's an element of that. I think it would be wrong to say there isn't, but it's as much. I mean, the normal plan when you're not called back home to deal with lots of sick, is that you go there the night before, you have a properly good, piss up, with the added advantage that you can obviously wander around people's rooms because it doesn't really have opening and closing on the day before. You just wander around people's rooms clutching large quantities of alcohol, if that fancy takes you, playing the music that you want to play. And yeah, I mean, I have to say, from an equipment perspective, it has a different role. I've not really seen equipment that's had me go, oh, I need that in my life. But I've picked up more pieces of music at that show than I ever have at any normal hi-fi show. Where it's gone, that's great. What is that? Where do I buy it? And yeah, straight off.
Cool. So it's the hi-fi equivalent of something like a car meet where enthusiasts all sort of go there with their own thing, show off their own kit, look at other kit, get some examples of what they might want in their system and so on, and exchange ideas, and I'm sure there's some arguments goes on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly the great advantage, as I say, is if you want to get a handle on. I mean, there's normally a kit list printed up before the exhibitor list printed up before the show itself. If you are looking for an opportunity to hear something which is out of production and not sold by a dealer anymore, it can often be your only shot in the UK of doing that, which is, that's quite an interesting sort of sideline to it.
Cool.
Sorry,
Were you exhibiting, Ed?
Not this year. I have done it twice. And on the years I don't exhibit, I then help somebody else exhibit. And I think he gets the better side of that deal because his system weighs more than the moon.
So if it's the equivalent of a car meet, how do you do your burnouts and your donuts and stuff? What's the equivalent?
Oh, just seeing if you can drive people from the room with a solid wall of noise is normally the way forward. So, yeah.
So it sounds like fun. So where is this held? When's it held? And what's the price to get in on this if people are interested in checking it out next year?
Every year, Scalford Hall, just outside Melton Mowbray in Leicestershire, where the pork pies come from. I believe pre-booked tickets were about £8 or £9, and I think it was about £12 on the door. And as well as there being lunatics showing their own systems, there is a fully stocked bar, and there's always a very, very good vinyl stall on the ground floor as well, which you can spend a lot of money on if that's your thing. It is for me. What can I say?
Okay. We are quickly running out of time in terms of home cinema hardware news, so I'm going to skip over a couple of things in my running order and go to products that are arriving for review. So Steve, what have we got coming up?
Well, I've got Sony's VPL HW55 entry-level projector that arrived this afternoon. So I haven't actually had a chance to play with it yet, but that's going to get reviewed over the next 2 weeks. Epson TW9200, which is their sort of flagship home cinema projector. That actually arrived last Friday. Unfortunately, I've had to replace it because one of the panels is gone. So again, I haven't had a chance really to put that through its paces yet, but that'll get reviewed in the next 2 weeks. And on Wednesday, so the day this podcast goes up, I shall be getting Cambridge Audio's Aero 5.1 system, Ed, which I know that you've seen already. Not reviewed, sorry, but you are aware of it.
Yes.
And I think your description was sounds great, looks ugly.
I'm not blown away by how it looks, but as Steve points out, if you're in a darkened cinema room, that's completely irrelevant. I don't want to spoil the surprise. You can obviously look at the website as well, but you're dealing with something which is unique to all intents and purposes, and at a sensible price. It's speakers done in a different way to almost anybody else out there, and I think what it does is very, very clever. So I hope that you find it interesting.
5.1 system in for some time now, so I'm quite looking forward to it, actually.
Cool. And Hodge, what have you got coming up?
I've got Rock. Sorry, I can't say it.
You pronounced it wrong.
Rock.
Think Rourke's Drift.
I know, all right.
It's just his northern accent.
It is. I can't say that. I can't say it at all. I can't remember the model of them. They're a little Bluetooth speaker pair. Really, really, really nice they are. Don't want to give these back at all. I've got Samsung F5000 LED TV. We notice how the manufacturers don't give us these sort of mid-range models until they're nearly end of line. But now that we start to get a bit of those, which is guaranteed to be really good value for money. And I've got a Denon sound plate and some other Bluetooth speakers, Power 5s from Roth. They're due this week as well.
Okay, and Ed, what are we expecting from you?
There is a pair of JVC headphones. Now, you have to forgive me. I'm some distance away from them. And like all JVC products, the model number is long and involved. But they're the flagship JVC headphones. They'll be going through imminently. Hopefully, then to partner with that, there'll be a pair of earphones from AudioFly, US company. And then a little bit later on in the month, when something vast has finally left my house, we are hopefully looking at a surround speaker package from Dali. And then also a more affordable home cinema amplifier from Pioneer. Okay,
so that's what's coming up in the month of March. Obviously, we're now just entering that month. So if anything takes your fancy there, then keep an eye on the homepage for the reviews going up. And we'll be back in a sec with games news. Okay, Mark, we're going to start with a bit of James Bond. GCHQ are considering that the Kinect could be used as a spy tool.
Sorry, I was just finishing a bourbon.
That's necessary for you, isn't it? That really is.
Okay, go on then.
The dream.
Yeah, this is a Guardian story. There's apparently a GCHQ program, Optic Nerve, which sounds very kind of Bond and sci-fi. They always think up cool names for these things. Where they were investigating whether they could use Kinect on the 360 to grab images, as it was alleged they tried to do with a couple of million of Yahoo users as well via webcams. It kind of all links into the older story of the NSA snooping via live chat and agents to be secreted possibly into MMO games like World of Warcraft. And it's one of those things that it's going to keep on coming up, but it's perhaps unfairly tied around Microsoft's neck now, as they're seen as, you know, the kind of big boys of the part of the establishment and everything. But it's always worth kind of raising the fact that it's basically any camera you have in your home that's pointed at you. If you have kind of, you know, intelligence services who want to gain information, then they will look at ways that they might be able to use it. You know, Microsoft have obviously come out and said that they've never heard of this program, and that obviously they're not, you know, kind of participating in helping them. But yeah, it's kind of one of those little bits of bad news that pops up as soon as Microsoft dropped the price of the Xbox One. Up comes something that says, by the way, it might be spying on you.
It's all great now.
Yeah.
I can't be the only person, though, that had read that and thought this basically for the poor sods at the end of GCHQ, it's going to be like the longest episode of Gogglebox in history. You know, for every second of useful intel, it's just going to be people wearing unsuitable clothes scratching themselves.
Well, I mean, if you're looking at the stereotype gamer, you can imagine what you'd be looking at there, wouldn't you?
Not even going to rise to it. If I just think, I mean, the images that my Kinect has seen, dear God, it's like Rutger Hauer. Yeah, Rutger Hauer. It would accept death willingly.
Except they won't be lost like tears in the rain because they're on a big server at GCHQ, recorded for immortality.
You have to imagine what the suicide rate is at GCHQ amongst those stuff.
Did you have a good day at work, dear? No.
I watched a fat man masturbate for 3 hours.
Whilst eating Jaffa cakes.
Smothered himself in whipped cream. No one should ever have to see that.
Although he had great technique at sucking the orange out.
You went too far then, Phil, sorry.
Yeah, God, that's got to be a sad job, really, isn't it, watching that? I mean, what intelligence are they going to get out of that other than...
It's one of those jobs you imagine it's given to the YTS boy or something like that. It can't be top level Bond agents or something. That would make the next Bond film particularly grim.
In fact, there's a quote from someone at GCHQ in the linked Guardian story. It says, "Unfortunately, it would appear that a surprising number of people use web conversations to show intimate parts of their body to the other person." Who's surprised by that?
I'm assuming the whole thing was made up by the Guardian, isn't it? Is there any veracity to this story?
I don't know. The Guardian have been pretty bang on with their intelligence stories recently.
They're quite good at understanding
Edward Snowden.
They're quite good at understanding terrorism on account of one of their writers being arrested for it.
Right, okay, so let's get back to some game stuff. New Titanfall tidbits, 15 maps, zip lines. I have no idea what this all means. Tell me what it means.
Yeah, this is further from the kind of tidbits gleaned from the beta files, which at the time I think they were saying that it was going to be 13 maps, and we've seen from kind of shots from the art books that there are these monsters. No one knows how they integrate, but yeah, this is the latest leak that there will be 15 maps. Some of them will have water. You'll have anti-Titan turrets in some of them. There'll be zip lines, which is quite interesting because it's a lot of the game is based on this idea of verticality, and so therefore that will help you cover distances quicker. And apparently you can grab onto them halfway along the zip line as well. They've also released, well, I say they've released, some people think that perhaps it's simply a kind of marketing ploy that this leak is out. But what their prestige variant's going to be, a new thing called Generations, so you'll reset at a given point and lose lots of things other than the burn card collection, but you'll gain experience points at an increased rate. Campaign, there'll be 9 different matches in there, 4 hard point, 5 of attrition, a new game mode, Pilot Hunter, where only pilot kills will add points. And yeah, as I say, still to me though, the most interesting thing is these big shots of these monsters.
It looks ridiculous. It's like a diplodocus with ridiculously sized legs. They've just taken a dinosaur and just stretched its legs out. A diplodocus. A diplodocus.
Diplodocus.
A diplodocus walking over a rock.
Yeah, over a rock. Have you seen the pictures?
A diplodocus.
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 Oh, I've just seen the photos. Yeah, I see what you mean. They just look. It's like if Salvador Dali did dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he makes speakers instead.
Yes, they do. No
Dailies. You mean dailies?
Sorry, Mark.
No, that's all right. Yeah, as I say, I was hoping there'd be some kind of mech on kaiju action, but they look like they may just end up being something in the background. No one's fully sure.
So presumably, you can only use the zipline when you're a person, not a big mechanical thing.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Fine.
Obviously, I'm not keeping up with the conversations on this for obvious reasons, but this is touted as being the game to change Microsoft's fortunes. That they've added the price cut in there as well on the consoles. Is this going to turn around the fortunes for them, do you think?
Fortunes in terms of Xbox One sales, are you talking?
Yeah.
The problem is it's not an Xbox One exclusive. That's kind of where they shot themselves in the foot, which is it's kind of almost marketed as such. So virtually all the blurb will be about it on the Xbox One. But it's also on the 360 and it's also on the PC. So unless they can kind of really hype it up and say why you should be getting it on that, I think perhaps the dedicated servers that will come into play. But you'll imagine you'll be getting greater graphics on the PC. So it's almost like it's on the middle system being on the Xbox One.
I can't see the PC hurting the sales too much. They're kind of a different market, aren't they, console and PC gamers? But 360, I think they would have been better if they didn't put it on that.
Yeah, because I mean, most people who are kind of who are going to pick up a One probably already have a 360. So if when the reviews come out, if it's not radically different, will this be the game to make them drop kind of £400 on a new system to look that much better? I just don't know if it will.
Okay, cool. And last story was the Wii U has finally overtaken the Xbox 360 in Japan. Yeah,
kind of almost belatedly, it's crawled past about the 1.6 million units sold mark. It's not really a marker to boast about because the 360
just mean that the 360 hasn't sold very many units in Japan. Or
the 360, they count the units sold each week, usually in kind of hundreds, sometimes just scores. So that's not really, it's not a great kind of benchmark. But it's home territory for Nintendo, so obviously it's it doesn't make them look that great. But by the same token, the kind of console market, you could say, is waning there. And I would have said that had the PS4 not sold 300,000 in its first 2 days.
I was about to say, how did that do in its launch?
Yeah, it beat the PS3, what that sold in a similar time frame, by about 90,000. But there again, the PS3 was priced higher, and that was seen as kind of underperforming in sales terms. So it's you can obviously see where Nintendo still have to go there.
Okay, and to wrap up on games podcast coming up next week. Have you guys started planning yet? Do you know what's coming up?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
Do you need me at this stage, Mark?
Yeah. What's the plan there, Mark?
I've no idea.
Right, so that's the games news. Coming next is movies. Okay, so like I said at the start of the podcast, the Oscars were last night in terms of recording this on the Monday to go out on a Wednesday. It was a bit dull, really, Steve, wasn't it? I mean, I think most of the things that we thought we were going to win won, basically.
We talked about the Oscars when the nominations came out a couple of months ago. It was very predictable. I mean, ever since the film was released, everyone's been saying 12 Years a Slave would win Best Film, and it did, which kind of pissed me off a little bit, really, because I found the film to be... I didn't really engage with the film at all, personally, on an emotional level. I just thought it was kind of Oscar-worthy stuff that always wins, and I'd rather have seen them give it to something like Gravity, which, may not be the best story ever written, but in terms of pure filmmaking, it is groundbreaking and therefore deserves recognition. Now, of course, it did get recognition because it won the majority of the awards that night. It didn't win Best Film, but it did win Best Director. It won Best Editing. So Alfonso Cuarón actually took away 2 awards last night. It also won Best Cinematography, Best Sound Mixing, Best Sound Editing, Best Special Effects, of course, and Best Music. So it took home 7 awards in total. In terms of the actor Oscars, they went exactly as everyone expected. So Matthew McConaughey did win the Academy Award for Best Actor for his performance in Dallas Buyers Club.
Now, I understand that is richly deserved.
Oh, totally, absolutely.
Still gives me a headache, the thought of it. The man who was in Failure to Launch and Sahara has won an Oscar.
To name but 2.
Yeah, you say that, Ed, but I started watching True Detective at the weekend.
Oh, no, I understand. Someone's hit him over the head and he's got an amazing brain injury that's made him good at acting.
Yeah, that's what it's like.
It's unbelievable, the metamorphosis he's undergone.
Yeah, totally.
But nonetheless, I'm still thinking about the early films where literally he could be out-acted by some of the lighting rigs. And the man has won an Oscar. I mean, if that's not proof that we can all improve in our chosen careers beyond all recognition, I don't know what is.
Yeah, work hard, buy a car. Yeah, that's the best message ever.
But yeah, thoroughly deserved on his part. As was Jared Leto, who also won for Best Supporting Actor for Dallas Buyers Club. And again, he was superb in it. That was his first film in 6 years. Actresses, we got Kate Blanchett, of course, walked away with Best Actress Oscar for Blue Jasmine. I mean, that's been, everyone's been saying that since that film came out as well. And Lupita Nyong'o. Lupita Nyong'o.
Do you want me to help with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, northernise it for us, Mark.
No.
Lupita Nyong'o. She's Kenyan, actually. She won Best Supporting Actress for 12 Years a Slave. She beat out Jennifer Lawrence, who won the BAFTA a couple of weeks ago. She was hotly tipped, so no surprises there. In terms of the Writing Awards, Spike Jonze picked up the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay for Her, whilst John Ridley picked up Best Adapted Screenplay from 12 Years a Slave. So 12 Years a Slave actually won 3 in total. It won Film, Supporting Actress, and Adapted Screenplay. Catherine Martin won 2 awards last night for The Great Gatsby for Best Production Design and Best Costume Design. She's actually the partner of Baz Luhrmann. Having met Baz Luhrmann, I am staggered to discover he's not gay. No, not being homophobic. He was unbelievably camp, wasn't he?
I thought it was just going to say he turned you down.
No, he definitely comes across. So camp. He comes across really camp. I mean, it was a Panasonic at CES. They had the 3 directors. There was Oliver Stone. There was him and Michael Mann, and probably the best sort of 45 minutes of the whole show, to be honest. It was fascinating listening to them. But yeah, he came across really, really camp.
He was as camp as a maypole, but apparently not gay. So there you go. Best animated film.
Could be
Frozen.
You could be bi. You're just assuming that.
Or she's a beard. Maybe.
You're saying he's in a lavender marriage? It's always my favourite phrase.
Like most of the Conservative Party. Disney won.
Get the lawyers out.
Disney won Best Animated Feature for Frozen. That's been a smash. It's made $1 billion worldwide.
$1 billion, wasn't it? That's pretty staggering these days.
And it also won Best Song for Let It Go.
So are you saying, Phil, it's almost pretty much recouped the Lone Ranger?
Oh, yeah. No, Disney aren't bothered about the Lone Ranger because they've also had the Iron Man 1.2 billion, Iron Man 3 rather, 1.2 billion. They've more than covered the cost of the Lone Ranger.
But will they have learned a lesson?
No, probably not.
Just looking at the list, I do disagree with... I haven't actually listened to the Gravity score a great deal. I still maintain that the Captain Phillips score was the best of the ones nominated last year. So I don't think the Gravity score is a score you could listen to on its own. But I
as a part
suppose
of the film.
that is fair. I guess that there's
No, as a part of the film, the opening chords alone, as the credits come up, where they say, in space, temperature goes from this to that, and there's no air, etc., is actually terrifying. There's this really big brass section coming in. It's really scary. I think it's a brilliant score, and it's also because the sound effects are done in a realistic fashion, so you only get sound when someone's touched something, so it induces through their body. Means that a lot of the score has to carry the film.
I thought you were a Thomas Newman fan for Saving Mr. Bankshead.
Yeah, so did I, actually.
I just, as I say, taken on its own merit, I just thought the Captain Phillips score was superb. I also, just trying to stay tenuously on topic, but be ridiculous at the same time. There was a comment from Bill Bryson earlier on. Obviously, Dallas Buyers Club won Best Makeup and Hairstyling, and he was saying they could have just gone to any makeup salon in Des Moines, Iowa, and achieved the same thing.
But Stanley, they spent $250 on makeup.
Yeah, apparently that was the budget.
Yeah.
So I suppose they probably did go to a makeup salon in Des Moines, Iowa. Yeah, okay, fine.
You mentioned Captain Phillips. That was that was a film that was largely ignored in the nomination stage.
I'm surprised Tom Hanks wasn't nominated for that.
Even nominated, no. And other big losers. Well, American Hustle had 10 nominations, didn't win a thing.
You got to think makeup and hair for that one.
Well, the hair alone for that one should have been. I don't know why it didn't get a nomination at the very least, because it's a film where everyone's wearing a hairpiece of some sort. Strange. Wolf of Wall Street didn't win anything, and The Hobbit didn't win anything. Second year in a row where Jackson's gone away empty-handed. So it would seem as though Hollywood's love affair with Middle Earth is well and truly over.
Yeah, totally. So that is the Oscars. Like I said in there, I started True Detective at the weekend. I don't know if anybody else has seen it yet, but I have to say I'm 2 episodes in and I am hooked. It is absolutely brilliant. Woody Harrelson's fantastic in it as well. So if you get the chance, get yourself into that. It's going to be the next big thing. That really,
it's on my to-do list. It's on the Sky box set thing, thankfully. So I'll be attending to that.
I should be buying it on Blu-ray. Well, obviously, not watching it on Sky.
Get you. I just buy records instead.
Talking about TV, I did slag off Top Gear 2 or 3 weeks ago. Got to say the 5th episode, which went out last night, back on Formed, really was back to its best. They actually did some car tests with hot hatches. A little bit disappointed that there wasn't an Audi model in there. They did the Golf GTI and the BMW M1. Was it the M1 or was it
the M135i?
M135,
it's not a true M car, apparently. So
no, but what was funny was him losing control at 140 miles an hour, and it took a quarter of a mile to come to a stop.
Well, to be fair though, it's a runway. Runways are drained differently to normal public roads. Apparently, you can do some amazing bits of aquaplaning because obviously, if a plane lands, it's there's with flaps and the rest of it in landing position, reverse thrust, so on and so forth, it behaves differently. Planes don't aquaplane in the same way, so runways drain their fluid off differently. But no, it was illuminating, but perhaps because I don't know, maybe there's an unknown suicidal streak to me. Of those two cars, I'd have infinitely preferred the BMW to the
Would
Golf.
you? Oh, I think it's ugly. I don't like it.
I know when you're in it, you don't
nice.
have to look at it, but it's got the right set of wheels driven. It's got a 6-cylinder engine. And it just looks a laugh, and you can have it in blue rather. I mean, the review sample last night was red, and that doesn't look right at all.
Yeah.
But no, in terms of cinematography though, that Porsche 918 sequence,
that was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely brilliant.
Everything that Top Gear should be was encapsulated in that. And let's face it, any car that shoots blue flame out of it is all right in my book.
That was phenomenal. The way they got that shot as well, with the camera on the back of the car with the exhaust. I mean, that was just stunning, absolutely stunning. And you know that racetrack in Dubai with a hotel that goes over the top of it as well. Yeah, that's just stunning, absolutely.
But by the time the Formula One season gets to Singapore and the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, honestly, you look at it and you think that, honest to God, looks like the tracks you used to play on Wipeout on PlayStation 1 with the anti-grav racing. You know, it's literally all we've got is crack now is anti-gravity, and we're there. Actually, Formula One might be livened up considerably if they introduce the weapons pads that they do in the track.
I've been thinking that for a long time. They just strap nitro to the backs of those cars and just go hell for leather and see who survives. Basically,
oh no, you can honestly make it more interesting. You could do it in the same way that they do it with all the KERS and boost systems they've got now. If you had pads on the track, and obviously if one car goes over it, sorry, I clapped, that was unsuitable with the microphone. If one car goes over it, and then obviously the car behind can't do that, then there's that could be properly cool. But maybe that's an argument for another day. But I do agree with you, Phil. Although I would say that whilst I've got a lot of time for that chap who did Breaking Bad, I don't think he was a great guest. And I think the cycling segment was fractionally longer than it should have.
Yeah, it was a little bit, but it's back on form. That was more of a Top Gear episode where they were doing something original as well. And the best thing of it was the look on Jeremy Clarkson's face as he lost control at 140 miles an hour and was sliding for a quarter of a mile.
I don't know about you, but under those circumstances, I'd have been throwing my trousers and underwear out. There would have been no laundering would have sufficed.
Well, you could tell he's done that before because he took his hands off the wheel, and that's the first thing you should really do.
Yeah,
if you're going to hit curbs and stuff, hands off the wheel, people. Yeah.
But I don't. I'm afraid you and I differ considerably on Audis. I mean, we've both participated in that Audi RS1.
The S1. The S1. If I had 25 grand in my bank, I would be buying that car.
I'm sorry, you must have had. I know you claim you don't drink, but you must be inebriated when you say something like that. It's a bloody Polo with a Haldex clutch.
No,
and
I'm sorry. That's just not the case. It's like there's quite a bit of equipment that it's all based on the same chassis, or all based on the same running gear, but you can make things completely different. And no, I don't agree with you. And
well,
I've had 25 grand.
Audi. I mean, the only Audi I've ever owned, company car, single. I mean, I realised at that point why so many Audis are driven so badly is simply because they're so uncomfortable.
Oh,
I mean, I would have done anything to. The right-hand drive conversion team at Audi must be 3 teenagers and a surrealist. You're talking absolutely.
You're talking rubbish, Ed. You're talking rubbish. My A4 is the best car I've ever owned.
I would also point out that you're. How should I put this? You're quite a lot shorter than me, so some of the grievous discrepancies in where the seat, the steering wheel, and the pedals are won't be quite so apparent for you. So yeah, sorry, no, it's on my list of brands I don't have any interest in ever buying ever again. No question.
That's your loss, isn't it? Steve, what do you own?
Audi.
Yeah.
Botwright, can you drive?
No, I take the bus. So when they do a Top Gear that covers that, I'll be fine.
So when you say you take the bus, do you take it Grand Theft Auto style? Yeah, hijack.
Oh, God, I wish I did.
Right, okay, so we're going to come back to movies and the Blu-rays and what Steve's seen at the cinema in a little while, but first, it's time for Mark's weekly AV snack recipe.
Biscuit theme, but this one's dedicated to Botwright. This is a cheesy chili biscuit, although it's not technically a biscuit, I'm just calling it that. So it's very simple. Get a bowl onto 350 gas mark 4, that's 180 as well. You get a good couple of handfuls of cheese, mix that with about, I'm not very good at quantities, I kind of just do it by sight, but I would guess about 3 ounces of butter. Beat that together, add in some green chilies to taste, some Worcester sauce, like a couple of dashes of Worcester sauce, and then well, your favourite hot sauce, so Tabasco or whatever. You can go a lot hotter than that, and mix it with about 5 ounces of flour with a whisk. Beat it all together, you'll end up with a dough. Just form that into balls, which is like with a teaspoon, and then put it onto a baking tray. Kind of squash them down so they're about 1 centimetre thick, and then bake for about 20 minutes, and out come crispy, cheesy, chili biscuit type frittery things. And then
just a type of cheese, Mark.
Cheddar. Or brie. No, not brie. Cheddar. Good melter. You do take your pick, Gruyere. That'd be quite nice. Well, stick to cheddar. Cheddar's generally what people have in the fridge, so that will work quite well. And then you can just maybe some dips with it. I would buy those if I was you. Salsa-y type things. That would work quite nicely. Very easy, very tasty, and very spicy.
You see, I don't necessarily agree with that. Mr. Everyone should experience the limitless disappointment of trying to make their own guacamole at least once.
I've done that. It worked out all right, actually.
It works out all right once you get the hang of it, but you will. I don't. Very few people get it right first time.
Yeah, it's tomatoes, isn't it? It's tomatoes.
It's just
avocado,
making
cumin,
sure that lemon hits that avocado sufficiently fast that it doesn't turn brown.
Yeah, exactly.
And sad. That's quite a challenge. But
so difficulty rating on this one, Mark?
It's really easy. Out of 10, after difficulty rating of about 2.
Right. Okay. And ingredients are easy to get hold of as well. Most people should
probably
have
got most of them in. Yeah.
Okay. So what do we think, Withers?
I like cheese. I love a bit of cheese on a cracker. I'm a big fan of a bit of cheese. Glass of port, I'm a happy man. I've never been a fan, strangely, of cooked cheese dishes like quiche or anything where you're using cheese, apart from maybe cheese on toast. That's okay. But generally, I'm not a fan of cooking cheese in dishes. Yeah, there are exceptions to the rule, but
it's pretty crispy. It's a crispy texture. It's not soggy in any way, like a quiche.
But I'll give it a go.
No one wants to play the soggy biscuit game.
They don't want soggy.
Nice and firm. Botwright?
I like it. Simply, it sounds a little bit like biscuits I seem to remember making in school. That kind of thing, those kind of little cheesy biscuits.
You were in the home economics class, were you, Mark?
Primary school.
All right, okay.
But I'm sure I did make something like that at secondary school as well, anyway. No, good. The only thing I'd question is, will I make it too hot if I stick in hot cheese?
No, go for it.
It's you and your obsession.
I've got 2 types of cheeses in my fridge.
Make it with Monterey Jack if you want.
I've got 2 types of cheese in my fridge: Mexicana and an extra hot Mexicana. I've just started.
I would stick with just the basic Mexicana then, if I was you. And maybe build yourself up.
I've got many cheeses on the go, and then I have many bottles of hot sauce. And if I wish to combine the two, I can, for a cheese that would be devastating in comparison to this Mexicana rubbish. But equally,
I'm sorry. Right, can I just point something out here? The cheeses with chilies actually in them can get far hotter than your hot sauces. Hot sauces, once you build up a tolerance to the average supermarket hot sauce or anything like that, you're done. The Tabasco, when I first started it, was fine. I can practically swig it from the bottle now. That doesn't have a Scotch bonnet in it that's fresh. Is just weak. I'm sorry.
I've got a sauce that comes from a nice little farm near my parents, Anna Valley Chilies. And it's a ghost chili sauce, so Naga Vipers. You don't get used to that. It can stain work surfaces. If you spill stuff on Formica, you have to wait until UV radiation hits it until it actually comes back out of the plastic. And I'm thinking, I wonder what that's doing to my insides. It's fantastic.
I would say it's a different flavour, though. It's a different flavour. Chili sauces, in comparison to when you've had fresh chilies. I always keep some Scotch bonnet around. I grew my own Nagas, actually. And it's a completely different... It's a warming flavour. It grows on you, rather than the hot sauces, which I always find a little bit acidic.
But I use fresh chilies when I cook. I mean, obviously, they don't sit around for long periods of time because I do, food with them. I used... for the first time, I actually experimented with Arbol chilies on Friday night. For the veggie chili nachos, and that it was very successful on the Friday night for both. It was less successful on the Saturday morning. I will say that. I'm grateful, not for the first time, that this house has 2 separate loos. It's quite handy.
Why have
I going to say you're grateful you've got a ready supply of nappies?
Like a war zone. House this weekend.
It was like Johnny Cash. What can I say? Ring of Fire.
No, well, I've actually got Donna Summer's hot stuff running through my head at the minute. I don't know why. Right, so Ed, what was your final verdict on Mark's suggested snack?
It sounds interesting, and I have to say I wouldn't shy away from a brie under those circumstances. You could, although it might affect the crispiness of the final product.
Yeah, it would be a bit soggy.
I do agree with Mr. Hodgkinson there. Although that said, because my wife is a keen baker of sweet things, I've got one of those nice elevated trays that goes over the standard flat tray, which would probably give you quite an even cook across all the surfaces. Which might alleviate some of that.
Up the flour content to right out.
Yeah, that might work as well.
They'd have to
So,
up the chili content as well.
That's not a problem.
I'm sensing not.
Okay, before Mark has to go, because I can hear the kids in the background there. What were our thoughts on last week's? Did anybody try the pizza on the pita bread?
Oh,
You can lie if you want.
No, I
Actually,
tried
no,
it.
I
easy.
didn't, but my wife had a quick go on them and thoroughly enjoyed it.
Good.
What about the pizza? Right, okay, I can hear the kids in the background, Mark. Probably best if you Foxtrot Oscar now.
Yes, I shall bid you farewell, chaps.
So thanks very much. If anybody's got any questions they want to put to Mark, then put it under the podcast in the feedback forum, or send us an email to podcast@avforums.com with your suggestions for tasty, snacky recipes for watching movies, and we'll have more of that when Mark's back on the podcast. So thanks, Mark.
Ciao.
Okay, so let's move on. Before we go to the cinema, let's see what's out on Blu-ray this week. We've got Gravity, Bad Grandpa, and The Haunting in Connecticut. Which one would you recommend, Steve, quickly?
Easy. Gravity. It's state-of-the-art picture and sound. Some interesting documentaries about how they actually made the film. It's got a documentary about the theoretical effect of one satellite hitting another satellite, which is the concept behind the film itself, and also a short made by the director's son, which actually ties in with the film, which is quite clever. So, yeah, absolutely. Gravity is if you're a fan of AV, which I'm assuming you are if you're listening to this podcast, then Gravity is a must-buy for everybody.
I don't know.
Or biscuits.
I think the passion that's been shown in talking about biscuits and pizzas and little spicy snacks, if we showed that passion with the actual hardware we're supposed to be talking about, this would be a cracking podcast.
I don't know. I think we're carving our own niche as most miscategorized podcasts
Pun intended.
in the UK.
Right, okay.
It's fake descriptions, really, shouldn't we?
Yeah, I need to go for a pee. So, what is at the cinema, Steve?
Well, there's 3 films that opened this weekend: The Book Thief, Ride Along, and Non-Stop. The Book Thief and Ride Along, the reviews are already up on the site, so feel free to read those if you want to. I'll talk about Non-Stop. I'm not actually doing the written review. That's going to be Kaz, but I'll talk about it because it's probably the more interesting of the 3 films. It's Liam Neeson. He's become the go-to action man of modern cinema, I suppose.
It is the strangest career arc. There
Bizarre.
was an article 20 years ago. He was nominated for Schindler's List.
He's done the
opposite
Matthew
to
McConaughey,
yeah. He's done the
He's gone
opposite.
from serious actor to rubbish films. Well, McConaughey's gone from rubbish films to serious actor.
Do you
But
reckon
how old
there's
is he
a
now?
hilarious, but 61?
60.
Do you reckon there's a hilarious buddy swap, a brain swap? Like Freaky Friday. They could actually just cast them both and then just do it actually as a fly on the wall documentary. Fantastic.
It's actually the second film I've seen Liam Neeson in 2 weeks, because obviously he's also in the Lego Movie, playing bad cop, good cop. In this one, he plays an air marshal, and it's kind of the, Neeson's doing these action man roles now, but it's always like, he's a troubled man. He's not just it's a more complex character. So he's possibly an alcoholic, judging by the initial scene of the film. You see him on the phone, he's having a drink, he's got the shakes. He's not a happy man, and you're kind of immediately thinking, would they let somebody like that be an air marshal? Put him on a plane with a gun? Later on in the film, you discover that he used to be a New York Police Department, New York police officer, and was and left the force because of personal issues. Again, are they going to hire someone like that to be an air marshal? Are they that desperate for agents in the U.S. Air Marshal's office? I don't know. It seems strange. Anyway, he gets on the plane. He's obviously it's a non-stop flight from New York to London, hence the title. And he gets on the plane, and then about 20 minutes, 30 minutes into the flight, he gets a message on a secure phone that the air marshals have, telling him that this person's going to kill a passenger every 20 minutes unless he gets $150 million. I've got to say, the film it's utterly ludicrous. Some of the plot points are, when you stop back and think about it after, you think, that's just ridiculous. How could they possibly have known that? Having said that, it is enjoyable hokum. Check your brain at the door, and for an hour and a half, you have a good time. It's directed by the same guy that made Unknown, which is also starring Liam Neeson. Although I've got to say, Unknown I thought was a really good film. It was kind of marketed as being like Taken, which wasn't like at all. But I quite enjoyed that. And this is along a similar vein. The plot's kind of not as clever as it likes to be, and doesn't really hold close scrutiny. But it's certainly enjoyable. Neeson's always watchable. I mean, the car, it's well made. It's just utterly ludicrous. But, it's a solid 7 fun movie to watch.
Cool. So the other two, like Steve said, are up on the site now, the Book Thief and Ride Along, so go and read them. And Non-Stop should be up by the time this podcast goes up. Well, I think that's all we got time for this week's AVForums podcast. Thanks very much for listening. All I need to do now is thank Steve Withers.
Fat, drunk and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
Mark Botwright.
Is he bigger than me?
And Ed Selley.
Christ, 7 years of college down the drain. Might as well join the fucking Peace Corps.
And don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook, bookmark AVForums, for the latest reviews, news and video. Plus, why not leave us a rating on iTunes if you enjoyed the show. I'm Phil Hinton, thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you again next Wednesday.